Here's my sense of ACT versus SAT. Rising juniors, I don't think should plan to do both. I think they should be prepared if they're prepping early that one test might not be good enough, and then later they might take the other test. Seniors, they should plan to do both. If you're testing as a senior, you've only got these few opportunities in the fall. And by having 2 SATs and 2 ACTs, you could then give yourself 4 chances to show them one good score. So I strongly urge seniors to do it that way. Juniors, I don't, because it's extra work. And since all you need is one good score, I think you want to figure out which is the better test for you and press on that test for 3-4 months. Take that test twice, maybe even 3 times in that time. And if then after 2 or 3 times you're still not near where you want to be, then maybe you take the other test. Let me describe the two. Equally valid for admission. There's no difference in colleges' minds whether they see an ACT or an SAT. 25 years ago, there was a thought that the ACT was sort of a weaker test. They do not have that thought now. There's an equating table that they use. So equal route to college. Don't think of one as weaker than the other. But do think of them as different. And here's the big difference between ACT and SAT. ACT has a science reasoning section that the SAT doesn't. The science reasoning is not based on a physics course, a chemistry course, or a biology course that you took. So nobody needs to feel that, oh, because I didn't take one of those courses, or I did, but I only got a C in that course, that I'm not good at ACT. Science reasoning is mostly reasoning. Reasoning can be done with your noggin, your brain, applied to any kind of set of facts. What the ACT does is give you scientific facts. They show you a series of experiments. And they'll ask questions about how something might change if it was heated for 10 minutes longer. What would the expansion look like? If it were 5 miles per hour windier, what would the drift of the feathers look like? If it were 20 milligrams heavier, what would the dispersion look like? So these are cause and effect things that lawyers can do, accountants can do, architects can do, even though they're not science majors. Well, architects often are science majors. Anyway, no student should be deterred from taking the ACT just because it has science. Now, some people are deterred because there's more to study. And if you don't have a lot of study time, which I'll get to at the end of this, if you don't have a lot of study time, it may make sense to go for the SAT. We at Ivy Bound ask students to put in 20 to 30 hours worth of tutoring if they're doing the SAT. But ACT, it's about 30 to 40. Okay, so those extra 10 hours you need to devote for the science reasoning, and actually the ACT has a little bit of higher level math. They have logarithms, SAT doesn't. The ACT will ask about matrices. The SAT does not. So if your student has the time and the willingness to study for ACT, he's actually covering the SAT really well, because everything in the ACT is asked on the SAT, with one slight difference. The SAT has a slightly quirky reading section, and the SAT's reading section may require a higher level of vocabulary than the ACT. That's it. The other stuff, the math that's on the SAT is like the ACT math. The math that's on the grammar section of the SAT is like the ACT grammar. So again, if you're covering the ACT in your study, then the SAT doesn't require a whole lot of extra study. We always want kids to do practice tests in that mode. So that's where there is still extra time, not needed tutoring, but extra time. If you're doing the ACT, you're putting in, say, 35 to 40 hours on the ACT study. You're probably putting an additional 35 to 40 hours on home study, and you're doing 5 practice tests. The SAT won't require extra home study, but I still want 5 practice SATs if you've only taken the ACT before. So then you're doing 10 practice tests. Practice tests are 3 hours long, takes another 20 minutes to score it, and then you probably want to review it. So you're up to maybe a 5-hour endeavor with each practice test that you're doing. So that's why doing both, I'm not a big fan of unless you're a senior. All right, let's talk about the timing. And I'm going to do finish.